Yes, I'm back with tea, as always. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Hi, I'm Maria, in case you don't know me. I make beaded jewelry in my free time. I sell pretty much all my jewelry. I also sell check glass beads, which I use for my own crafts. If you're interested in anything that I create or sell, please find the links down below to my social media and to my shops, in case you want to check it out. So this video is going to be a chatty one because I want to start on the topic of bead embroidery. And before I can show you how I create my own pieces, what techniques I use, to create the typical look of my jewelry, I guess, I want to go through all the things that you would need if you wanted to follow along a bead embroidery tutorial of mine. So this is going to be the first part of all of this, so that you know what you need, and you can also find the links to those products, at least to the felt and the faux leather and thread and tools and glue and stuff, all that stuff. You can find those things in the Amazon storefront I linked down below. Please note that there is a storefront for US people and a storefront for people who are located in Europe. So please make sure to check out the right storefront, otherwise probably the prices are increased and you would also need to pay more shipping. So make sure to use the right one in case you want to check out the products that I use. Yes, all the things except for the needles, you can get those on Amazon. But if you have a bead shop near you that you want to buy from, or you have an online shop where you always buy, yeah, you can check those out and see whether they have the things that you would need for this. But just to make things easier for you, and I know that people usually ask where they can order things from, I wanted to make sure that the storefronts are available for you, in case you need them. After talking about all the supplies that you would need, I would like to follow up with maybe 1 or 2 basic beading technique videos. So those would be about bead embroidery, of course, and you would find those in the playlist for basic beading techniques. And then I would love to go through from the beginning to the end of finishing a piece, probably an earring, because usually I make earrings. Yes, I've also made some necklace pendants, and I would love to start on brooches sometime this year, but it's probably going to be an earring design. I would love to provide these videos for you over the course of June, probably to August. Hopefully you will be able to find those videos on my channel. So before we start on all the supplies, let me show you some examples for my earrings. I picked out some examples for earrings that I've made this year. So you can see I have some with fringes on them, then I have some with a scalloped edge, which consists of all kinds of different beads. I have here some gemstone beads, some check fire polished beads, demi-round beads, whatever I really felt like and would suit the design pretty much. And then the centerpieces could be glass beads. Those always have a flat back, or they are coin beads, like these pressed flower beads or these pressed skull beads. Or I use stone cabochons. So this is a matched jasper cabochon pair, and then I have some with tiger's eye. I have some with sodalite. These are also matched. And these are made with Candelion as a centerpiece. And then what I currently do is that I bead rows of seed beads around the centerpieces. So those could be the usual round beads, or you can use cylindric beads, or you could use true cut beads like these that sparkle a little, but I will talk about this later on. You can find all these earrings in my shop. Most of my bead embroidered earrings, they are unique, like my Radka earrings. Those will always be unique, so if you buy a pair, that one will be the only one in that colorway that I will ever make. And also my Rackrell earrings, these are also unique. So not only in the semi-precious stones that I use, but also in the color choice and the bead choice. My Tuvalu earrings and my Loretta earrings, those are limited edition only. So the ones that are currently available, those will be the only ones that I will make. And of course I have many different ones available with all kinds of different stone cabochons. And then I have some more for my Loretta design. And then these are currently the ones available in my Radka design. And because I plan on showing you how to make a bead embroidered earring, you can let me know down below which earring you would be most interested in. You know, maybe the Radka earrings because they have a fringe on them, or maybe you're more interested in my little Tuvalu earrings because it's basically a skull with a flower crown. Just let me know. If you want to see how I create something, you can always give me input. I will not provide color information for you because these earrings are unique and I don't want them to be recreated. So I won't give out information about my color choice. But of course I can show you how to basically make this design. Let's start with all the things that you need to make such a pair of earrings. So let's start with the base, I would say. I will talk about the common things that you would need, like wire guards, earring hooks, tools later on in the video, because that's usually stuff that you need for all your beading projects. I want to start out with the specific things that I use for my bead embroidery, because that's what the video is about. Let's have a look at this earring. Okay, so because you embroider something, of course you need a base on which you embroider your beads onto. And that's pretty much 2 layers of surface that I use. So I would start by using a 1mm thick, pretty stiff felt. You can bend it, it doesn't need to be super stiff, but it shouldn't be like fabric, you know, without any structure or anything. So I use felt that's 1mm thick. I have it in all kinds of colors. This is all felt, and I like matching the color of the felt that I place those beads onto. I like to match those colors. So what I really don't do is always using white or black felt, because I find that depending on the choice of your cabochon and the beads that you use, it bothers the eye. If you want to make a colorful earring, I would not ever advise you to use white felt. And I also don't like the option to color it with Sharpie or anything, what some people do. I would advise to get felt in all kinds of colors if you want to make a pretty pair of earrings that's pretty much thought through from start to finish. That's just my advice. Of course, you can do whatever you like. Also, these packages, they are quite affordable. I've linked them in the Amazon storefront. Then, at the back of the earring, I always use faux leather. I try to reduce or minimize the amount of animal products that I use in my own jewelry. So I've decided to go for faux leather because you can get it in all kinds of colors. You can get it structured, you know, with patternings on them, with glitter on it. You can get it shiny or matte. There are all kinds of different faux leathers that you can choose from. Let me show you some examples. As you can see, again, I have all kinds of colors. They aren't as vibrant because I prefer earring bags that don't take away from the front of the earring, you know, if it turns. So I have a faux leather that's more on the rough side. So it looks a little more like real leather. Then I also have pretty smooth faux leather like this. Yeah, it's super smooth to the touch. So I really like those. Also some baby pink ones. You can get it in all kinds of colors with different finishes, with very pretty patterns on them. So choose whatever you like. And yeah, so that's pretty much the two layers that make up the earring and which I place all the beads on. So then, next, you have chosen the felt and the faux leather that you want to use for your earring. Next is the question how to add your bead or your cabochon as the centerpiece. And I use the E6000 Plus glue. I think it pretty much glues everything. It's very strong. It smells only a little bit, but please be careful if you use this. Maybe wear gloves, don't breathe it in. Just glue it and then let it rest for a day. I really like this glue. It's clear and it's very strong. So even though I use cabochons which are drilled or beads with holes for my earrings, it's not a necessity to bead your centerpiece onto the felt because this glue is super strong. So I really like using this. To apply this glue to your felt or pretty much to your cabochon or your bead, I use chopsticks. They are super inexpensive. You get them for free if you ever order food online. So because I have my own chopsticks at home, I always keep them and I use chopsticks to apply glue to the flat back of the bead or my cabochon. So I can only advise to use some of these. It's super handy. You can use them a few times. You don't have to clean them and you just throw them out once they're done. So we have the two layers. We've now glued our cabochon to the felt. Next, when the glue is dry, you want to start beading. So the question arises, what kind of thread would you use? I use the same thread that I use for my small earrings and my hoop earrings. I use Miyuki beading thread. It's a nylon thread. It's conditioned, so it's super easy to use. It doesn't knot easily, it doesn't tangle easily, and you can get it in all bright and super pretty colors, as you can see. So it is super easy to match the color of your thread to your felt and the beads that you want to use. Again, I am not a fan of using white or black thread for all the jewelry that you make, because I find that the colors overall that you choose for your project should match each other. So that's the thread that I use. If you ever decide to add a fringe to your bead embroidered earring, I use the same thread that I use for my fringe earrings. This is Nymo. It is unconditioned and it's much thinner and more fine than the Miyuki beading thread. It is 0.2 millimeters in diameter, so it's super fine. You can also get it in all kinds of colors. They are even pretty similar in shades to the Miyuki beading thread, so it's super easy to match your colors if you want to. So thread-wise, this applies the same way as it does to all my other earrings. Earrings that need to hold a certain shape or that are a little stiffer, I use Miyuki beading thread, and anything that needs to be flexible and needs to fall freely, I use Nymo. Then, for beading needles, I use pony black needles in the size 12 and 10, whereas 12 is the larger size and 10 is the smaller size. You can't get them on Amazon, I think. You can use whatever beading needle you want to use. Please make sure to not use sewing needles, because the ends are too large for your beads. You won't get them through your beads, you may shatter your beads, so please use beading needles also for your bead embroidery projects. But these are the needles that I use. So that is pretty much all that you need to start on your embroidery. So let's talk about beads and caps that you could possibly want to use. So as I said before, as the centerpiece for my earrings, I really like using flat glass beads or maybe coin beads. So for example, you could use these kinds of flower beads. They are 14 millimeter, so quite a good size. You can place quite a row of beads around them. So I really like using those. And by the way, you can also get all these beads in my shop if you're interested. And then some more examples, you could use these. There are some flat skull beads, and in the middle there are coin beads with a flower pattern on it, or a mandala pattern, whatever you want to call it. Or maybe even these fish beads. And then the other option you have is using cabochons. So there are all kinds of cabochons out there. You can use stone ones, glass ones, plastic ones, whatever you find. I'm sure there are ceramic ones, whatever you prefer. So I do have some singular pieces. So these are stone cabochons that I want to use at some point. You know, as long as it has a flat back, you can use it. And these are not drilled, so I would only glue them onto the felt, but since that glue is so strong, you really don't need to worry about it. And then there are some manufacturers who provide matched pairs. So these are perfect for earrings, especially if you want to use stones, you know, which have their own patternings and bands in them, and you want to make sure that you have two very similar pieces that you want to use for earrings. You can look up matched stone cabochons, and you will find manufacturers who provide these type of cabochons if you're interested. And then if you're interested in getting glass cabochons, it's quite common for glass bead manufacturers to also produce glass cabochons. So just check out the shop where you buy beads from or the manufacturer itself, and they also may have glass cabochons in all kinds of sizes, colorways, finishes. So go check those out. As I've said before, I use quite a number of different bead types to embroider those bead rows around the cap in the middle. And this is pretty much up to your taste and preference what you want to use. I like to have quite a contrasting size in beads, so compared to the centerpiece. And I usually like to stick to one or two different finishes. My usual choice is matte, and then I usually just stick to matte, or if I want to go the shiny route, I may use lustered beads with color inside or metallic beads, for example. So if I go shiny, I stick to shiny, and if I want to go the matte route, because maybe it fits the centerpiece better if it's a stone cabochon, my choice would be to not use beads that are super shiny, because then you pay more attention to the beads than to the centerpiece of your jewelry itself. And I wouldn't want that, but of course that's your choice. As you can see, in these earrings I started out with a row of Miyuki round beads 15-0, followed by a row of Miyuki Delica 11-0, and then the third row are 2mm fire polished check beads with tiny 15-0 Miyuki round beads in between. So those are the beads that I embroidered around my stone cap for this design. And then for a shiny example, we can have a look at my Loretta earrings. So here I have a pretty shiny stone cabochon in the middle. It's Tiger's Eye. And then around that cap you can see that I used 11-0 true cut beads. Those are round beads with one or two flat sides, which are pretty sparkly because they reflect the light so prettily. And then that row is followed by two rows of Miyuki Delica 11-0. Those two rows, they are lustered beads with color inside. And then also, as you saw, to finish up the whole design and to hide away the both layers, you know, the felt layer and the faux leather, I like to do scalloped edges. So in this case I used faceted turquoise beads together with demi-rounds from Toho and some tiny Miyuki round beads in between. And for my Rockroll earrings I used 15-0 Miyuki round beads, and then those tips I shaped those with the help of 11-0 demi-rounds from Toho also. And in the case of my Twiley earrings, I chose to go for 3mm fire polished check beads. They are super glittery and they very well match the shine of the skull bead. I always use wire guards for my bead embroidered earrings, because if you use stone caps or large glass caps, they can get heavy, especially if you add a fringe onto them. So I like to make sure that they can carry their weight and, you know, that they can bear the wear and tear if you wear your earrings often. So I always opt for the wire guard, and yeah, I would also advise you to use wire guards for your bead embroidered jewelry. And then of course earring hooks. So you can go for whatever you like. I pretty much always use sterling silver or gold filled, because I invest so much time in these pieces that I want to make sure that the metal supplies that I use for my jewelry match the time, and the other supplies like semi-precious stone cabochons, that they match the rest of the jewelry piece. So I wouldn't ever go for cheaper options in this case. I think that's it. I think that's all that you need. Of course, those are a lot of supplies, okay? And I love combining and playing around with all kinds of different beads, but of course not everyone has that huge stash and choice that I have. I am aware. If you want to start on bead embroidery, I would advise you to maybe go to Pinterest, see what's out there, see what you like and what kind of beads they use, so that you can pinpoint what to get and where to start. What I wouldn't do if you are not familiar with beads, I wouldn't advise you to go to an online shop and just buy what you think that you like and what looks pretty, because I am pretty sure that many things will look pretty to you, but in the end you will probably notice that you don't want to use that kind of beads for maybe bead embroidery. So maybe instead go to Pinterest and see what's out there and what kind of designs have been created already, and from there I would start to note down the kind of beads that you want to look for. About tools, you won't need much. You should get some flat nose pliers, you know, just to open up loops of the earring wires that you want to use and close them again. So use some flat nose pliers. And then sometimes I also use these pliers, no clue what they're called. They don't leave marks so easily on your metal supplies, so in case you ever have a bent earring wire, you can try to fix it with these. I think that works quite nicely. And then also scissors. You will need some scissors. Yeah, but that's pretty much all for tools. That is all. So about the felt, faux leather, glue and such, please, again, if you're interested in the products that I use, please check out the storefront down below. Of course, you don't have to buy anything there, but if you want to read up on these products that I use, you can find the links down below so that you know what you get in your own bead shop or, you know, craft supply store, wherever you usually go. I really hope that you found this one helpful. Next would be the videos on the basic things, you know, basic bead embroidery technique that I use, and also, of course, some helpful tips that I myself apply to creating my own jewelry and that I found quite helpful and good to know. Let me know what you think of this video. If you like the information that I provided to you, please leave a like, maybe leave a comment if you have anything to add or you want to leave feedback. And if you want to see more about my small handmade business or beading tutorials, please consider subscribing to my channel so that you know when I upload the next time. Hopefully, I will see you in the next video, and goodbye for now.